Today, you're going to witness something incredible that will change the way you see the animal world. We've compiled 5 amazing stories about crows that behave as if they have become human. You won't believe your eyes when you see how these intelligent birds interact with people, play games, and even share morning coffee with their rescuers.
This girl not only saved the bird, but also found in it a loyal companion that grew up with a German shepherd and behaves like a dog. On an ordinary day, which turned out to be not so ordinary, Joanna found a little crow chick. It was alone, lying in the grass and crying loudly. The chick, which she named Pepe, was abandoned by its mother. When Joanna picked it up, she had no idea that this crow would become a part of her life and the best friend of her dog. She decided to take care of it herself, as Pepe was very weak, barely able to move, and constantly crying, apparently calling for its mother. Aiming to preserve the natural instincts of the little crow and prevent it from becoming domesticated, the girl constructed a cozy nest for it in a spacious barrel, located in a corner of her yard. Jo lovingly fed and watered her feathered ward, hoping that over time it would grow stronger and fly away. However, instead of the expected departure, the crow Pepe became increasingly attached to Jo, her husband, and surprisingly, their dog. Pepe formed an especially warm relationship with the shepherd, Zena.
Oh no!
They often played together joyfully.
You're ferocious! You are ferocious!
Over time, Pepe mastered the art of flying and moved from his barrel to the nearest tree, but continued to stay close to the family. The crow retained all its wild habits, including a cautious and wary attitude towards unfamiliar people and animals, except for Zena. Now an adult, Pepe is free to fly anywhere, but he always stays near Jo's house, responding to her calls. It seems Pepe fears missing something important, so he always accompanies Jo during her walks with the dog. The most amusing part of this story is the reaction of other crows flying by. They sit on nearby trees or wires, tilt their heads, and watch this unusual friendship with amazement, as if the existence of such warm relations between a human and a bird is beyond their comprehension.
This raven liked literally everything the man had. It would wake him up early in the morning, it rummaged through all his pockets, taking out whatever was there. The headphones on the man also piqued the raven's interest. It was very cheeky and considered itself the man's closest friend. The man first met it at the school where he teaches children. Some of his students came up to him and said they found a baby bird. Apparently abandoned by its parents, the man thought he might have a chance to save it. He took it home and cared for it, naming it Klaus. As the fledgling grew, it flew away, but it returned every day, showing great interest in everything the man did or had. It regarded him as its father, so naturally it was curious about everything, including the man's coffee. Birds shouldn't drink caffeine, so the man poured it decaf coffee. It enjoyed the process itself. It didn't really drink the coffee. It just liked spending time in such an atmosphere in the garden. They formed a very, very special relationship with the raven. What's more astonishing is that the raven liked taking baths. It was almost like a spa. After the raven bathed, the man would dry it with a hairdryer. He believes that this has been a truly special experience and means a lot to him. Not everyone in this life is lucky enough to find such a wonderful and curious friend as Klaus. In a bird sanctuary, where each feathered inhabitant has its own story, there lived a raven named Tuck.
Hello! Hello!
Rescued from a pet shop, he grew up among humans, never experiencing the wild. This African-pied crow stood out from the rest. Tuck could mimic words he heard from his human rescuers with remarkable precision.
Hello! Hello! Hi, Tuck! Hi, Tuck! Yeah!
One of his hits was the word what,
What? What?
which Tuck used to attract attention, especially when he felt ignored.
What?
This trick of mimicking words was self-taught, but his human friends also taught him new skills. His main caretaker trained Tuck to recognize objects, such as his own tire. The raven quickly grasped which tire was his among other items. Tuck not only amazed with his abilities, but also won hearts, especially those of women. He was a true ladies' man, adoring all forms of attention from female visitors to the sanctuary. Tuck joyfully greeted them, relishing every moment of attention. Additionally, Tuck possessed another unusual skill. He could mimic the sounds of frogs he heard outside. His repertoire included not only human words, but also incredibly accurate imitations of nature sounds. This ability made him even more unique and beloved among all the sanctuary's inhabitants. Tuck loved being the center of attention and considered himself the star of the sanctuary. His performances, whether mimicking words or frogs, always gathered an admiring audience. He reveled in these moments, showcasing his talents and unique character. Despite all his talents and charm, Tuck could not fly due to arthritis in his wings and legs. This limitation made him even more distinctive and special among the sanctuary's inhabitants, highlighting his unusual fate and the inseparable bond with those who cared for him.
Loki is a crow that was rescued from depression and anxiety after his previous owner passed away and remained undiscovered for a considerable time. Hence, Loki was alone for several weeks. When the deceased's relatives found out about the death, they suggested that Elliot adopt the bird. By the time he rescued him, Loki was in bad shape, neglected and suffering from depression and anxiety. The relatives claimed the crow was well behaved, but this was far from the truth. Due to his chronic anxiety, Loki was extremely aggressive. He was frail, both physically and mentally, and seemed afraid of humans. Perhaps that's why he attacked them. It took Elliot 4 years to establish this incredible bond with Loki. The man had to exert a lot of effort to connect with Loki, pouring in hard work, love, and attention. It paid off, as now they are inseparable buddies who hug, chat, play games, and occasionally cause mischief. Well, that's Loki's doing. Elliot created a safe space for the crow and gifted him a new home. Every time Loki sees his owner, his tail shakes with joy. Elliot notes that Loki is indeed an extraordinary bird with amazing quirks. Exchanging gifts has become their tradition, and Loki shows a keen interest in puzzles. Loki also has a hobby: petty theft. Anything that fits in his beak can become his next target, whether it's coins or food.
Give me that back. Give me that back.
But Loki isn't just a thief. He's willing to return his loot for a specific reward. Interestingly, every item he steals has its price. For a dish sponge, Elliot has to pay with 3 grapes, and to get back a padlock, he needs to offer a chocolate cookie.
Oh. Aggressive negotiation tactics from Loki.
Now, Elliot always keeps a set of rewards on hand in case of Loki's next mischief. Loki is known for his talkativeness. Whenever Elliot engages in a conversation with Loki, the bird always responds with his unique sounds like a click and a caw. These sounds have become his signature. After several years of living together, Elliot concluded that Loki is more akin to a human than a bird. This crow not only displays profound emotions like jealousy, anticipation, and joy, but also astonishes with his cognitive abilities, especially in play tasks. Loki is very sociable and prefers to spend most of his time among people, cracking jokes and showcasing his wicked laugh, especially when he's stolen something for keeps. Now, Loki feels safe with his new friend Elliot, and is eager to tell everyone about his newfound happiness. A woman named Alexandra befriended an amazing white raven she named Crary. Now he regularly flies to her and plays with her several times a week. Ravens are known for their high intelligence, and Crary is no exception. It only takes him a few seconds to figure out how to get food. Once, while sitting in the backyard of her house, Alexandra saw a raven, and observing his behavior, offered him a peanut. To her surprise, he gently took it from her hand. From that moment, they began to get to know him better. Alexandra started setting up little challenges for Crary, giving him various food puzzles. She was amazed by the intelligence and ingenuity of Crary. She especially liked watching how he chose the fastest and easiest path to food. Over time, their relationship only grew stronger. Crary was no longer so afraid of her but remained cautious. He would approach close enough to take food from her hand, or even sit on her leg or arm. If Alexandra noticed the raven was nervous, she would look away, allowing him to feel safe, and this worked great. Especially touching were the moments when Alexandra sat down to read a book, and Crary quietly sat next to her, enjoying her company and the tranquility of the surrounding nature. Later, another raven became interested in them, whom they named Crew. She was a female, very calm and shy, because she never dared to come closer, always staying in the background and watching. Alexandra soon realized that there is a feeding hierarchy in their world, and Crary, being male, should always be the first to get food. Crew observed and respected this hierarchy. Alexandra wanted to feed this raven too, but the raven always tried to take everything and did not leave until he did. It was very hard for her to tolerate this hooliganism, as Alexandra loved nature and birds, but she understood that this was part of their nature. In a small defense of Crary when the nesting season began, he became more generous and shared everything he found with Crew. The rest of the year he hides food in some places, and the raven has to track this down and re-hide the food for herself elsewhere. Alexandra tries to feed her when he is not around so that he does not see it. Later, a third raven named Kami appeared. He was the child of Crary and Crew. He followed Crary everywhere, and like all children at an early age, he had problems with patience. He didn't like to wait his turn and always tried to be first. Crary, as a father, puts him in his place, but he always comes back. Kami, despite being young and never having seen puzzles before, already copes with his first as well as his father. For example, he had to open a small compartment, and he did it. But how did he know there was food inside? 2 years ago, they had 4 fledglings, but they quickly disappeared, and only Kami stayed for a long time. Every morning, when the sun rises around 8 o'clock, they come first, or sit in the trees and watch, waiting to see if Alexandra comes out. When she returns from vacation, it usually takes the ravens only about half an hour to notice her and fly in. Also, during this time, she realized that they have a concept of territories, and if another raven tries to take a place on a tree here, they chase it away. The woman becomes sad when she sees them in the rain, especially Crary. He sits in the rain right in front of her, outside while she is inside. But for him, this is normal. In winter, when a lot of snow falls, the woman cleans the perches for them. In summer, they stay here, in their territory. And from September to spring, they fly to a flock of other ravens to spend the night together. Alexandra searched for this place for several years and found it 3 kilometers from her house. There are thousands of ravens there. They fly in from all sides. She thinks that possibly among the 1,000 of these ravens are the 3 her friends who fly to her every day, and it is very touching to know such a small part of this wild nature so closely. He flies and communicates with this 1,000 ravens, while also flying down to her from the trees to play a game for food. This is incredible. The woman believes that although they have become so close and befriended, it is not a domestic animal. He is still a wild creature and will always be. She worries that the day will come when this raven will no longer return, and this causes great sadness because she loves him.